My wife's friends tried to get me to pay for their vacation, so I made sure they paid the price instead. I should have known from the beginning. When Henry, married Emma, I thought I was getting a loving, supportive partner. Instead, I accidentally signed up for a financial support program for her and her 3 gremlin friends. Now, don't get me wrong, Emma wasn't as bad as them. She didn't outright demand things, but she also never stopped them when they treated me like an ATM. And they did. Every chance they got. Meet the 3 financial parasites. Rachel, queen of entitlement. Daddy's money finally dried up, and now she expects other men to pick up the slack. Believes if a man isn't spoiling his woman and her friends, is he even a man? Tina, the manipulator. Constantly guilt trips Emma into demanding things from me. Uses phrases like, "Don't you deserve nice things?" to push Emma into getting me to pay. Beth, the gold digger in training, treats relationships like investment opportunities. Once said, "I don't split bills. I'm not a roommate." Calls me budget Brad behind my back, but still orders the most expensive thing on the menu. The problem wasn't just that they were leeches. It was that they were always there. Every time Emma and I planned a date night, it magically turned into a group outing. I'd book a dinner for 2. They'd show up as a surprise. A weekend getaway? Suddenly, it's a girls' trip and I'm footing the bill. Once, I planned a romantic anniversary dinner. Emma insisted on inviting her friends just for a little while. They stayed the entire night, and every time I brought it up, Emma would brush it off. "It's just how we do things. We're a package deal." Right, a package deal that only one person was paying for. At first, I took it lightly. Whenever the 3 stooges made snide comments about me, I'd laugh it off. "Emma, we need to upgrade your husband. The budget version is glitching again." "Come on, don't be cheap, OP. We know you're loaded. Happy wife, happy life, and happy friends too, right?" It was annoying, but I let it slide, until the breaking point. Until they pushed too far. It was Rachel's birthday, and surprise, surprise, I was paying for dinner. But this time, things went too far. They ran up the bill. We're talking multiple bottles of expensive wine, appetizers, entrees, desserts, cocktails, like they were competing in the food Olympics. They publicly humiliated me. The waiter brought the bill and put it in front of me. Rachel laughed and said, "Aw, look, he's sweating. Don't worry, big guy. I'm sure Emma will make it worth it later." The whole table erupted in laughter. Even Emma. My card declined, not because I didn't have money, but because the fraud detection flagged the ridiculous bill. The waiter came back and said loudly, "Sir, your card was declined. Do you have another form of payment?" Rachel and Beth howled with laughter. I looked at Emma, waiting for her to say something. She just looked away. She wasn't embarrassed for them. She was embarrassed for me. That was it. That was the moment I realized I wasn't her husband. I was her wallet. And I was done. I paid the bill with another card. I smiled. I laughed with them. I acted like nothing was wrong. Because now, it was war. I didn't say a word on the drive home. Emma noticed. "What's wrong?" she asked half-heartedly, like she already knew but hoped I'd let it slide. I just smiled. Nothing, I was just thinking. And I was. I was thinking about how I'd let this go on for far too long. How I had been footing the bill, laughing at the insults, and letting her friends walk all over me while my own wife never once stood up for me. How tonight, when my card declined, instead of feeling bad for me, she was embarrassed of me. No more. The next morning I played along as if nothing had happened. I even asked Emma if she had fun last night. She perked up, acting like everything was normal. "Yeah, it was a great night, huh?" "Definitely," I said, forcing a grin. "And I've been thinking, you and your friends deserve a real break. A vacation, just for you girls?" Her eyes lit up. "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course," I said. "I know I haven't been the most generous husband." That part almost made me choke on my own words, but I needed her to buy it, and she did. She kissed me, giddy, and immediately texted the group chat. They all responded instantly. Rachel, "OMG, I knew you'd come around. Finally proving your husband material." Beth, "Can we go somewhere luxurious? Like Maldives or Bora Bora?" I told them to pick anywhere they wanted. It didn't matter. I already knew exactly what I was going to do. Emma and her friends spent the next week planning their dream trip. They picked a luxury resort in the Caribbean, somewhere with private villas, a spa, and all the overpriced nonsense they were obsessed with. They assumed, of course, that I was paying for everything. And I let them think that. I booked their flights and their accommodations. I even showed Emma the confirmation emails to keep up the illusion. But what I didn't tell her? I only paid for the flights. The resort reservations were held under Rachel's name, but not prepaid. Meaning, when they arrived, the hotel would be expecting payment at check-in. Oh, and I booked one-way tickets. They wouldn't realize it until it was too late. The night before their flight, Emma kissed me sweetly and thanked me for finally understanding how important this was. I smiled back, kissed her on the forehead, and told her to enjoy every second. She had no idea how much I meant that. The next morning, I dropped them off at the airport, waving them off like the supportive husband they thought I was. Then I went straight home, packed my own bags, and drove to the airport for my real vacation. Emma thought I was staying home. She was wrong. While she and her friends were flying off to what they believed was an all-expenses-paid dream vacation, I was boarding a first-class flight to an entirely different tropical paradise, alone. I had booked myself a real vacation, one where I didn't have to deal with her friends, their insults, or my money being thrown away on people who didn't respect me. Meanwhile, back in the Caribbean, reality was about to slap them in the face. When Emma and her friends arrived at the resort, they strutted in like queens, ready to enjoy their luxurious getaway. Rachel stepped up to the front desk, sunglasses on, attitude turned up, and casually said, "Checking in. Should be under my name." The receptionist smiled and started typing. Then her expression shifted. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't have a payment on file for this reservation." Rachel frowned. "Oh no, my friend's husband paid for everything. Just check again." The receptionist checked again, then politely explained that the room was booked in her name, but no payment had been made. That's when the panic started. Rachel called Emma. Emma called me. I didn't pick up. I was probably sipping a cocktail somewhere, enjoying the sun without a care in the world. They tried every excuse possible to get out of paying, saying it must be a mistake, claiming they had been promised it was covered. The hotel staff remained polite but firm. No payment, no room. That's when they realized they were screwed. They couldn't afford this place. They had no backup plan. And worst of all, their return flights weren't booked. I had left them stranded in an expensive resort with no way to stay and no way to get back. They blew up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails, messages ranging from angry to desperate. "Emma, where are you? WTF is going on? Rachel, you better fix this now, you cheap a hole. Tina, this isn't funny. We're stranded. Beth, you are so immature. Just pay for it already." I ignored every single one. I let them stew in their own entitlement. I let them panic, argue, scramble for a way out. Because for once in my life, I wasn't the one fixing everything. While Emma and her friends were trapped in luxury hell, I was living my best life. I stretched out on my private beach chair, drink in hand, phone on silent, enjoying the ocean breeze. It was the first time in years I didn't feel like someone's walking ATM. Meanwhile, back in the Caribbean, the meltdown was in full swing. At first, Emma and her friends tried to stay calm. Rachel, still high on her own delusions, insisted, "This is just a mistake. Let's just call Henry and he'll fix it." That's when they realized I wasn't answering. Their entitlement started cracking. Beth was the first to panic. He wouldn't actually leave us stranded, right? Tina, the professional manipulator, tried calling from a different number. I let it ring. Then I blocked it. Panic turned into chaos. They went from assuming I'd fix it to arguing over who should cover the bill. Beth pulled out her credit card but immediately canceled that idea when she saw the price. Rachel, now in full Karen mode, demanded the hotel let them stay for free while they figured this out. The hotel staff politely told them no. And then came the biggest reality check of all. Rachel tried to book a return flight home, only to realize they didn't have return tickets. That's when full-scale panic hit. Up until now, Emma had gone along with everything. She had laughed at their jokes about me. She had let them treat me like a human credit card. She had stood by silently while they disrespected me. But now she was trapped too. And unlike her friends, she finally started to realize exactly what was happening. I imagine she sat there watching Rachel argue with the hotel staff, Beth freaking out, and Tina blaming everyone but herself. And then it must have hit her. This was our life together. For years, she had let them dictate our marriage. Every date, every outing, they had been there. and every time she had chosen them over me. And now, I was gone. I like to think she stared at her phone, scrolling through all the texts and calls I ignored, because, for the first time ever, she wasn't in control of me anymore. It took a full day before Emma finally realized she couldn't fix this without me. The next morning, as I was enjoying my hotel's complimentary breakfast, my phone lit up with a text from her. "Emma, I'm sorry. Please answer." I let it sit there for a while, finished my coffee, enjoyed my eggs. Then, when I was good and ready, I called her back. She answered instantly. "Henry, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This whole thing got out of control. I didn't know they were gonna act like this, I swear." Her voice was different now. No smugness, no entitlement, just panic. I took a slow sip of my drink. "Did you have fun?" She hesitated. Look, can you just book our return flights, please? I just want to go home." I let the silence stretch. Then I said, "No." Silence, she finally spoke, her voice shaky. "What do you mean, no?" I said, completely calm. "You wanted a girls' trip, you got one. Enjoy it." Her voice broke. "This isn't funny, Henry." "Oh, I think it is." She started crying. I let her, and then I hung up. Emma and her friends ended up scrambling to find a way home. Rachel and Tina had to beg their families for money to buy new flights. Beth maxed out her credit card trying to pay for the hotel and was furious that none of the others helped. The group fell apart. By the time they finally made it back, they weren't even speaking to each other anymore. Emma came home a broken mess. She walked into the house, looking exhausted. She didn't even try to argue with me. She just stood there and whispered, "Can we talk?" I smiled. "Sure." I reached into the drawer and pulled out the divorce papers. She went pale. "Wait, what?" I set them on the table. "Sign them or don't. Either way, I'm done." Tears welled up in her eyes. "You're leaving me over this?" I laughed. "No, I'm leaving you because for years you let them walk all over me. You let them insult me, use me, and treat me like I wasn't good enough for you. And you never said a damn thing. This?" I gestured to the divorce papers. "This is just the final receipt." She broke down sobbing. I didn't care. She had her chances. I was done. I grabbed my suitcase, the one I had packed before I even set up the vacation scam, and walked out the door. Walking out of that house felt better than winning the lottery. No more fake smiles. No more footing the bill for people who didn't respect me. No more being married to someone who let her friends treat me like a joke. I got into my car, tossed my suitcase in the back, and drove off without a second glance. Emma called me 8 times that night. I didn't answer a single one. Emma tried to negotiate. She begged me to reconsider, said we could work things out, promised to cut off her friends. Too late. I told her the only thing I was interested in was getting this divorce finalized. She didn't take it well. She went from begging to angry, saying I was being petty and overreacting. I wasn't. I had just finally grown a spine. The divorce was clean cut. We had a prenup. She wasn't entitled to a damn thing. No alimony, no house, no extra payouts. I left her with exactly what she brought into the marriage, which, honestly, wasn't much. What happened to the gremlins? Rachel and Beth completely turned on Emma. Rachel blamed her for marrying a loser who didn't respect them. Beth just ghosted her entirely. Tina, the manipulator, tried to reconnect with her later, but from what I heard, they weren't close anymore. The group fell apart. Without me there to fund their lifestyle, they had nothing in common. And me? I took a real vacation, alone. I spent the next few months rebuilding my life, without someone constantly draining me. Eventually, I started dating again. This time, I made damn sure I found someone who respected me. Emma? Last I heard, she was struggling financially, trying to find a place to live. Guess she figured out too late that she should have married a man, not a wallet. I never looked back, and I never paid for another girl's trip again.